We've got an opportunity to look at how we can allow walking, biking, transit through bus opportunities to kind of bring themselves up more in line with where the car is.
And moving forward, what can we do to incorporate all of these good things that we're talking about that promote a healthy lifestyle?
We have to put our bicycles on our car and drive to a place where we can ride safely. So let's change that, let's make it so that we can just get right on our bikes and ride from home.
Funding provided by the U.S. Department of Transportation CMAQ program.
We're looking at sustainability in Vanderburgh County. What does that mean? From a community planning standpoint, it means designing our environment in a way that meets the needs of today without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Ultimately, it's about working toward a better future and recognizing the need for a healthy community.
This is North Green River Road in Evansville. It has most everything a person needs. What it doesn't have? A safe and convenient way to get from one place to the other without using a car. There are no sidewalks. There are no pedestrian walkways to safely cross the street. And if you spend any time on this stretch of road, you'll notice there is no shortage of pedestrians here. So how did this area develop this way? Vanderburgh County engineer John Stoll notes that when this part of Green River Road was built in the 1990s, sidewalks just weren't talked about.
At that time, with the federal aid project, it wasn't part of the NDOT review process to consider all modes of transportation. So sidewalk construction really wasn't a consideration at that point back when the section from Morgan to Spring Valley was constructed. Then the section from Spring Valley through Lynch, that was done with local funds. Basically, it was just matching what was done on the prior phase. So it really just wasn't a consideration back when that project was pursued. And that's really how it got to where it is today.
This isn't uncommon. Areas like this exist all over our region and across the United States. But there's a new way of thinking starting to take over that encourages more discussion and planning of these kinds of developments. It's called sustainability. In 2011, the Evansville Metropolitan Planning Organization received a grant to develop and implement a regional plan for sustainable development in Henderson, Vanderburgh, and Ward counties. From this, the Sustainable Evansville Area Coalition was established to provide outreach and help carry the plan forward. The hope is to create a plan that allows social, economic, and environmental aspects of society to work together to increase transportation options, lower transportation costs, and protect the environment.
Through this plan and listening to the community and reflecting that through the plan, we take it back with our planners and we actually look at the pieces of the puzzle that have to be in place in order for you to accomplish major initiatives coming out of that plan. And frankly, you got to go all the way back to the policy level. There are pieces that have to be in place that, that help steer and incentivize development in such a way that the end game is achieved. You know, it's interesting how society has evolved, and it's important to say the trucks and cars, they serve an important role in our life. And I can sit here and say I think they will for a long, long time. It's not to make the car go away, not at all, but to help get us out of that car when we don't need to take the car.
If you look back on how Evansville has developed and you see what we call the commercial areas, they were just how many buildings can you get on how much space. And there was no thought about green space and you know, everything was a parking lot or the building. And now we're realizing that that is not the way we want our community to be. We want to make sure that we have the type of an environment that our children can grow up in, realizing what our earth is all about, and it's not about concrete and buildings.
You take an area like North Green River Road, and you have a mix of housing types, from apartment to single family and so forth, and then you started seeing commercial developments to meet the needs of the people that lived out there. You have a school out there, you've got churches there, you've kind of got all these pieces, but you do have a situation where it's challenging to get from one place to another without using your car. So looking at it as we've had development and we can learn from that development, and it can be a very positive experience for us to take that concept and then weave the pieces together in a big package so that the development that would happen by multiple developers would all fall into kind of an overarching plan where all of their developments can address the needs for the walker and the biker and for transit.
Brian Murphy is a local real estate developer and general contractor who shares this vision of sustainability. He is a part of Congress for the New Urbanism and is developing a neighborhood outside of Evansville near North High School.
We are currently here at Poet Square neighborhood, which is on the north side of Evansville, Indiana. It is a traditional neighborhood that has been designed with the principles of New Urbanism to better connect and create a walkable and mixed-use community that will integrate between North High School and hopefully Scott High School in the near future. The neighborhood itself is laid out on a grid pattern which allows for the use of alleys for garage-fed car entrance and creates more of a pedestrian-oriented front of the building itself. So it's a good comparison between conventional subdivision layouts with its segregatory uses and what Poet Square is going to end up being, which has blocks, grids, streets that provide the buildingscape for the alleys, and then also the front load and areas that we've provided to hopefully have light retail come in and be able to a mixed-use portion of our development where people are happy to walk to. We're also trying to create a walkable path between North and Scott High School over the long term that fosters biking and walking to those facilities. The master plan, if you will, for Poet Square is to provide area for green space that will be community use, what will end up being a park, and we've actually have two areas that we would like to develop that as we move out towards getting our roads connected to Peck, which brings us a little bit closer to the North High School complex. And also in doing that, we are going to have what essentially is going to be the square, if you will, of the community, where we haven't outright designated it as commercial retail, but would probably like to see it be more of a mixed use space where residential could strive right next to what would be a maybe light retail or even light commercial space, whether that's someone's tax service accounting office, an insurance office, possibly a coffee shop, a small restaurant.
One of the reasons we need to make them walkable, sustainable neighborhoods is so that when the people live there, they're not spending all of their time and money getting in their car to drive 4 miles back into town to get what they need. They can get it right there in their neighborhood. You've always been pretty close in the city to get something in your neighborhood. I happen to live on the north side and I can walk to North Park, for instance. But if I lived out in the county, I would have to get in my car to drive to just get a quart of milk if I needed it.
Putting retail space where it is easily accessible from residential areas is effective on many different levels. Imagine if it were just as easy to walk rather than get in your car just to cross the street to run errands. Now imagine an entire neighborhood walking instead of driving. The long-term effects on traffic congestion, air pollution from emissions, and the physical health of that community begin to show very positive results, but there are still obstacles.
We're looking at a lifestyle change. We really are seeing people take a long, hard look at how we were years ago, how we were decades ago, and how we are now. To change a lifestyle, it doesn't happen quickly. So some of the challenges we'll face in this community, in this region, is patience, as we're, each small step adds up to movement and a motion in the right direction.
It's the movement across the United States. This isn't something we've invented in Vanderburgh County. The young people no longer want to have a car. They want to walk where they go. They don't want to spend their money on gasoline and insurance and taxes and license plates. So we've got to accommodate that. We have to grow with what the demand is, or we will become stagnant.
I believe that we have intrigued the local officials. It's definitely a provocative subject which provokes important discussion, and I think it can be a real game changer for this region, and we sincerely hope that the local officials believe in the process and what comes out of it, and will help be leaders in the effort to see this through.
You can find more information on the Sustainable Communities Regional Plan and the Sustainable Evansville Area Coalition at SEAC.org, and learn more about walkable mixed-use neighborhood development at the Congress for the New Urbanism's website at CNU.org.